Thank you, Howard. I want to tell this morning my favorite story about a troll, and I may ask for your help at one point or another. Once upon a time, there were 3 billy goats gruff. Little billy goat, medium-sized billy goat, and big billy goat gruff. They lived in a field in a green valley, but in the distance, they could see a field that was full of lush, sweet grass, but there was only one way to get to it, over a rickety bridge over a stream. And under that bridge lived a terrible troll. And there was nothing that the troll liked better than to eat a nice, juicy billy goat. The little billy goat was the first to reach the bridge. As he crossed it, his little hooves made a strange sound on the bridge. Do you remember it? Trip, trap, trip, trap. Do that with me. Trip, trap. Suddenly there was a huge roar. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" Out came the troll, quaking in his boots, in his hooves. Little billy goat gruff managed to say, "It's only me. I just want to cross the bridge to get some grass to eat." "Oh, no, you're not going anywhere," said the troll. "I'm going to eat you for my breakfast, lunch, and tea." "I'm just a little billy goat gruff. Why don't you wait for my brother? He's bigger than me and will make a better meal." So the greedy troll decided to wait, and the little billy goat skipped over the bridge, began to eat the fresh green grass, and the medium-sized billy goat went down to the bridge and began to cross the bridge, making the noise. Yeah, now this is the medium-sized, so a little bit more. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" said the troll, quaking in his hooves. Middle-sized billy goat gruff said, "It's only me. I'm following my sister, little billy goat gruff, so I can eat the sweet grass." "Oh, no, you're not. I'm going to eat you for my breakfast, lunch, and tea," said the troll. "Oh, no, Mr. Troll, you wouldn't want to eat me. I'm not big enough to fill you up. Wait until my big brother comes along. He's much tastier than I am." "Oh, all right," said the troll, and middle-sized billy goat gruff scampered over the bridge, began to eat the sweet grass with his sister. Then the big billy goat gruff crossed the bridge. Good. "I'm going to eat you up for my breakfast, lunch, and tea," he said. "Who do you think you are?" said the big billy goat gruff. "I'm the troll. I'm going to eat you up." "Oh, no, you're not." "Oh, yes, I am." Big billy goat gruff bent his head, charged at the troll, caught him up in his horns, and tossed him into the stream below. The troll disappeared under the rustling water, never to be seen again. The end. This was my kids' favorite story when they were growing up, and we acted it out again and again in the park, on the playground, on those little bridges that are at so many playgrounds. They loved it when I got a little scary as the troll, and especially loved it when one of them got to bravely dispatch the troll and push me off the bridge. And it wasn't a bad message, it seems to me, to be handing down to my children, that bullies can be overcome with a mixture of guile, courage, and strength. And it wasn't a bad way to prepare them to face the trolls that life sends our way, whether they appear on the playground, in the schoolroom, in the workplace, or the home. But there's a new kind of troll these days, ironically also given the title of troll. It's a bully that lurks not in the real places, but in the virtual spaces of our lives, on the internet. Here's a new kind of story about a troll. Leo Traynor is a political consultant and a writer in Ireland. As he began to use Twitter, he would get random followers who anonymously harassed him, streaming online vitriol filled with hate and abuse, insults about his wife, anti-Semitic remarks. He'd block the account of one troll, but then another would pop up in its place. He'd block that one, and still he'd get more abuse from another one. Finally, Traynor quit Twitter altogether. That's when he got a box of ashes delivered to his front door with a little note saying, "Say hello to your relatives from Auschwitz." The troll knew where he lived. Leo Trainer isn't alone in his experience. Here are the scary statistics. A Pew Research Center survey published 2 years ago, found that 70% of 18 to 24-year-olds who use the internet had experienced something like this, some form of harassment. And that 26% of women, more than 1 in 4, said that they had been stalked online. Joel Stein of Time magazine writes, "The internet's personality has changed. Once it was a geek with lofty ideals about the free flow of information. Now, if you need help improving your upload speeds, the web is eager to help with technical details. But if you're struggling with depression, it will try to goad you into killing yourself." Has this experience of a troll ever happened to you? Has it ever happened to a member of your family? Or would they even tell you about it if it had happened? You and I would like to be the big billy goat gruff for those that we care about, but that means we have to see and understand the troll. And this kind of troll, this anonymous mean-spiritedness, this is hard to grasp, both because it seems beyond our comprehension of why somebody would do something like this, and because it comes from unseen virtual places. Stein informs us that where such meanness might be coming from. Psychologists call this the online disinhibition effect, in which factors like anonymity, invisibility, a lack of authority, and not communicating in real time strip away the mores that society has spent millennia building up. And then he adds the kicker. And it's sweeping from our smartphones into every aspect of our lives. In other words, it's not just about the internet. It's about all of our social exchanges. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus preaches his Sermon on the Mount as a way of offering up a comprehensive vision of the kingdom of heaven, a new community that's built on love, forgiveness, faith, trust, generosity, honesty, fidelity, acceptance, and humility. And he concludes it with a story. Everyone, therefore, who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew, beat on that house, and it didn't fall, for it was founded on rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell. And great was its fall. We live in a culture that is being built on the foundation of social media. And in the dark recesses of our social media are trolls. Narcissistic, Machiavellian, sadistic trolls. And these trolls aren't just waging the traditional right-wing culture war over homosexuality, abortion, rap lyrics, drugs, how to greet people at Christmas time. No, they'll target anything. Video games, clothing ads, pictures of your parents, your children, even the remake of a mediocre 1980s comedy. Maybe you heard the story. Ever since it was announced that the reboot of the movie Ghostbusters was to star 4 women instead of the 4 men of the original, trolls were furious. One of the co-stars, Leslie Jones, was harassed on Twitter with racial and sexist threats, including a widely copied photograph of her at the film's premiere that somebody had intentionally and graphically soiled and then taken a picture of. She said, "I was in my apartment by myself. I felt trapped. Then they got my email, and they started sending me threats that they were going to cut off my head and do stuff they do to N-words. When you're reading all these gay and racial slurs, it was like, I can't fight you all. I didn't know what to do. Do you call the police? That's the experience that so many are having right now, feeling powerless against the trolls, intimidated and scared and not knowing who to call to make things right. What's even worse is the suspicion that troll culture might be affecting the way non-trolls treat one another. A study by Professor Zev Kane showed that when people are exposed to reports of good deeds on Facebook, they're 10% more likely to do good deeds that day. The opposite is occurring as well. One can see discourse norms shifting online. They're probably linked to behavior norms, says Susan Benish of the Dangerous Speech Project. When people think it's increasingly okay to describe a group of people as subhuman or vermin, those same people are likely to think it's okay to hurt those people. So what do? When we suspect that our society is being rebuilt on the shifting sands of hate, what do we do, you and I? Well, we do what we've always been told to do: rebuild it on the rock of love. Rebuild it on the rock of forgiveness, faith, trust, generosity, honesty, fidelity, acceptance, and humility. Those virtues Jesus lifted up in the Sermon on the Mount. You remember I told you the story of Leo Traynor, the Irish writer, political consultant, whose troll had sent him a box of ashes. Well, Traynor grew paranoid after that. He was fearful for his wife, for his family. However, with the help of a tech-savvy friend, he grabbed an IP address of one of those troll texts and pointed him to another friend's house and the friend's 17-year-old son. Traynor writes, "My friend told me how his son was always glued to his laptop, tablet, or smartphone, how he couldn't watch a TV show without tweeting about it simultaneously, about how he'd become engrossed in conspiracy sites. He was horrified at what his son had done to me. He wanted to call the authorities there and then, so that I could turn him in, and I said no." So Traynor went to the friend's house. He went to the son face to face. He said to the 17-year-old boy, "Look at me. I'm a middle-aged man with a limp and a wheeze and a son and a wife that I love. I'm not just a little avatar of an eye. You're better than this. You have a name of your own. Be proud of it. Don't hide it again, and I won't ruin it. Now shake hands." And they did. This is how you do it. I mean, this is how we dispatch the trolls. The way we always have, with the gifts that God has given us, the tools that Jesus recommended to us. This is how we avoid building a nation and a culture on the shifting sands of hate. We build it instead on the solid rock of love, forgiveness, faith, trust, generosity, honesty, fidelity, acceptance, and humility. We were there by the grace of some generous parishioners at Lambeau Field for the 2012 season opener, as the Packers took on the San Francisco 49ers. I believe it's the happiest place that I've ever been, Lambeau Field, on a game day. Thousands are pouring into the stands from their front yard parking spots in the neighborhood. They're walking giddily through the city streets like overgrown high school kids fired up with local pride and school spirit. And by and large, our happiness makes us a pretty welcoming and relatively tolerant lot, us Lambeau Field Packer fans as well. I've been to football games elsewhere, at the old Met Stadium in Minneapolis, at Soldier Field in Chicago, the University of Oregon in Eugene, and felt like a Christian among lions at those places. But at Lambeau, we treat our visitors with respect, by and large. We understand that what we have in Green Bay is a national treasure, and that every true NFL football fan should make the sacred pilgrimage to Lambeau at least once in their lifetime. So, season opener, 2012, we sat down next to a couple of 49er fans, and we all tried to be welcoming, tolerant, understanding, by and large. We found out that the couple sitting right behind us were the adoptive parents of the backup rookie quarterback for the 49ers. And we further discovered that the father was from New London, of all places, and that this backup quarterback had spent much of his childhood as a Packer fan in Milwaukee. So our welcome took on real sincerity. Near the end of the first half, the 49ers coach unexpectedly sent the rookie quarterback into the game, and on the very first official NFL play he ever performed, the rookie scrambled for 17 yards. His parents were thrilled. And all of us around them rejoiced with them, even though it cost the Packers 3 points, ultimately. Well, you may have guessed by now that the rookie quarterback we cheered for 4 years ago was Colin Kaepernick, the 49ers quarterback, who has been largely reviled this past week over his decision to remain seated for the national anthem as his personal protest over the treatment of people of color in the United States. One can only imagine what the trolls have been saying to him on social media. But I felt for him this past week because he wasn't strictly a stranger to me. I mean, I had met his parents. I had seen their pride and delight in their son, and I had felt some of it reflected on me as well. And to be honest, I also remembered something from my own history. I was in 4th grade, the day after watching American sprinters Tommy Harris and John Carlos give the Black Power salute from the Olympic medal stand in Mexico City. That morning, as the rest of the class recited the Pledge of Allegiance, I put on a black winter glove, I raised my fist, I lowered my head, and I silently lodged my barely understood protest. I got detention. I got detention for my efforts, and in several different ways, Colin Kaepernick is being penalized for his. You may think his protest was as meaningless and as immature as a white 4th grader giving the Black Power salute. But we're all children of somebody. And we're all trying. And the way to rebuild our culture is to do away with anonymity, to do away with hate, to do away with demonizing and depersonalization, do away with scapegoating. Instead, rebuild our culture on the solid rock that Jesus recommends: love, forgiveness, faith, trust, generosity, honesty, fidelity, acceptance, and humility. That's what big billy goats do. That's how we'll get those trolls off the bridge. Amen.